A happy protest song from 1968. Everybody's been crying about freedom now for a lot of years in various forms.
It is kind of weird how just every decade has their own.
Yeah, this decade had a bunch. It's a nice day. It's the 30th of September, the last day of this month in 2014. Beautiful out, highs 80s. Same thing for tomorrow. Rain on Thursday, cooling off considerably for the college football weekend featuring Ole Miss and Alabama in the Grove, Mississippi State, A&M, and a bunch of other fun events as well. The Bacon and Beer Fest too. Andy Wise is our friend from Channel 5. He is their consumer investigator and man of the hour. About twice a week over there, he uncovers something bad. Or good.
Or good, yes.
It kind of comes and goes. How are you?
Good, thank you
Good
for
to
having
see
me.
you.
How do you balance the good with the bad? When is it going to be a pasta strainer that really works or some corrupt individual who's trying to screw me out of money?
You don't know how close you are to the pasta thing for tonight.
What is tonight's Do It Work?
Let's get the good out of the way first,
Yeah.
then we get to the bad.
Yeah.
Tonight we're testing a $16 device called Baguetti. Rhymes with spaghetti.
Okay.
A lot of the women 18 to 49 wanted me to test this thing.
Okay.
When the women 18 to 49
An
say test
important
something,
demo. Yes,
you
sir.
do it.
Yes.
It's a pencil sharpener looking thing that claims to sharpen your zucchini and potatoes and carrots into strands like pasta so you can make veggie pasta.
Okay.
And we test it with Memphis's most famous vegetarian, Justin Fox Burks, the chubby vegetarian author of that particular blog. And we have a lot of fun with it. So I'm not going to give it away, but that's the thing tonight.
So
Now let's get to the bad stuff.
Now, this is one that came up because my eldest male child was involved in a car accident. I began to this began to unfold, and we learned about insurance companies and replacement parts on vehicles. So that led to our friend Bill Fowler, John Eves Jr., who is a lawyer.
Well, they've been pursuing this for years.
Well, it began slowly in one state and has ballooned and expanded to 41 states or something. And this is a pretty big deal that many people aren't aware of. The gist of it is, if you wreck your car, they try to bully you into taking your car to the body shops that they want you to.
They be the insurance company.
Because they're all in cahoots. And they also approve the replacement parts that are made of plastic, that are dangerous, that diminish your car's value, and so on. I'll let you take it from there and explain from your perspective what you found out.
Right. First and foremost, the Mississippi suit, of which Bill's a plaintiff, is a potentially precedent-setting lawsuit nationwide. It is now part of a multi-district legal action that will probably be fought in Florida, among other states, and in fact the Louisiana Attorney General has followed with his own lawsuit alleging the same thing. Basically they're alleging that the insurance company is in cahoots with some preferred providers, or what they call DRPs, to, number one, use inferior parts or aftermarket parts, in some cases certified but still considered inferior by some body repair plaintiffs, and also fixed prices on what those are. Now, the suit was filed a while ago, but we have spent a long time trying to find a perfect consumer who's caught in the middle.
Right.
And it just happens to be your son.
Yeah.
After vetting a lot of other consumers who've been through the same thing.
Right.
But let's set this out right now. In the Mid-South, in Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas, there are laws already on the books that give consumers the right to choose original manufacturer parts, or what we call OEM, original equipment manufacturer parts.
You can demand it by law.
You can demand it by law. Now, now I'll break it down by state. Tennessee requires that the estimate disclose immediately a body shop's intent or an insurance company's intent to either repair or cover with aftermarket parts. Okay, and in Tennessee also, you cannot use aftermarket parts on a current year model vehicle or the previous year model vehicle. So 2014, 2013 car is wrecked, you cannot use aftermarket parts in the damage repair of that vehicle. Okay.
But nonetheless, people still try to pull that over on people and bully them into doing it their way, regardless of the law.
Which is exactly what Geico and Progressive have done with your son.
Yes.
And that's the point of the lawsuit. Number one, based in Mississippi, and then also the Attorney General's lawsuit in Louisiana, is to essentially enforce what's already on the books. And to set a precedent in litigation that will ensure that consumers have the choice of whatever part they want on their vehicle, particularly when the accident is not their fault.
And this is not just the consumer that is getting aftermarket parts and not going to be safe. They're losing the value of their car. This is also affecting body shops. We've had several that have emailed here that have to remain anonymous because they deal with insurance companies all the time that either steer or don't steer business their way. We have one here says that the adjusters are already squirming and scratching a little bit because of these lawsuits, and we've heard stories that are playing out in certain shops as insurance adjusters are re-inspecting vehicles, and employers are now giving them a little bit of grief about it. And they write, Drake, I hate that you and your family had to fall victim to these ridiculous tactics that these insurance companies are using on consumers, but I know Bill will set them straight from the get-go. Thank you for putting this hidden problem to the general public on your radio station. It truly affects a lot of people.
It sure does. It's one of the, I mean, it's a car, and the kid wasn't hurt, and that's the upside. But to see these people do this repeatedly and do it in such an arrogant, cavalier approach is what makes people really upset.
What bothers
They don't care.
Yeah, what bothers me in particular with Alex's case, your son's case, is that, you know, he wanted this car towed to Bill's place.
He told them that.
And that is not an unusual request by any
Right.
consumer in a car accident, particularly a consumer who's
And they wanted
who's
to
not
argue
at
the
fault in
point.
the accident.
Yeah.
And they gave him so much grief
Yeah.
about, you know, taking the initiative to have his vehicle towed to his repair shop of choice.
Mhm.
Now, that's really unacceptable, and it's really not allowed under the law. Alex has the right to do what he did.
Let me ask you this, though. I was in an accident once, some years back. Wasn't my fault. And when the police were on the scene, I had to almost beg them to let me have that car towed to Bill's place, because they wanted to bring in a city tow truck and take it somewhere else first.
Yeah.
And I had to say, look, man, please.
That's a whole nother story. That's the city towing rotation story.
One more game.
Right, it's one more game, and it's all about contracts of the city with private towing companies. And again, you have the right to have your vehicle towed
Wherever you want
I don't
it
care
to.
if it's your own doggone garage.
Yeah.
You can have your car towed anywhere
But
you want.
people
It's your
are
property.
Yeah, but these people are so easily intimidated, and these people like Geico are pros at that. It's their job.
Right.
I'm not trying to bust their chops because they're told what to do, but it is just wrong on the face of it.
Think about this too, and I was talking to Bill the other day when I was down at his shop having some work done. The money that they're saving here, there are tax implications galore in all of that too.
Sure.
When you start talking about the difference in cost that the body shop is going to have to do it on the cheap, well, the body shop's not making any money, therefore they're not going to be paying any taxes.
Right.
So you're losing out in that angle of it as well.
Right, that's a very good point.
Andy Wise is here, and we're discussing the insurance and the parts on your car and how this business is being brought to light on a national scope. CNN is doing some kind of a piece on this, your piece, but it's not it's just not known unless you have a wreck. You don't really know, and you learn the hard way. Now, when this finally goes to court, and my sense is that this may go on forever.
It's a potentially long litigation.
So, what do the insurance companies do to fight back and to prove that because if they lose this case, that's going to be a whole nother can of worms.
My prediction is the insurance companies will use a two-pronged approach. One, they'll say their policyholders under contract, they are bound by their contracts and their insurance policies to follow our procedures and protocol. Secondly, they're going to argue that they can have their original equipment manufacturer parts as long as they buy extra coverage, as long as they buy OEM coverage. Their insurance companies are actually selling as a separate coverage. You know, like you have your liability and you have your comprehensive. Now they're selling separate OEM coverage where you pay more on your premium to ensure that you're going to get original equipment manufacturer parts. So the ruse continues.
Right. Yeah. Because I know that when my son was talking to these nice people, they kept telling him it is our legal right to do it this way. Tough luck. And talk to him like he was some kind of animal and didn't care what he thought, and they still don't care. And that's the part that's kind of disconcerting.
They're going to argue the letter of the law of their policy.
Yeah.
But they need to know in Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas, consumer needs to remember 2 points: disclosure consent.
Mhm.
Disclosure, consent. All 3 states in the Mid-South require disclosure of the intent to use aftermarket parts on the repair estimate.
Right.
Okay? That has to be released not only by the body shop, but it also has to be agreed upon by the insurance company. And then the customer has the right, they have the disclosure, the customer has the right to say, well, wait a minute. I don't want these parts. Or they might say, that's
Right.
fine, I consent, I can use those parts.
So state law does transcend their policy, though. It should.
That'll be litigated by attorneys.
So that's-
ultimately,
so that's the question.
that's what's going to come out in this
Right.
litigation is
Well-
that where does the letter of the policy overlap or conflict with the letter of the law in all 3 states, which clearly require disclosure to the consumer.
Mhm.
And in Tennessee's case in particular, Tennessee has the strongest law of the 3. In Tennessee's case in particular, consent of the customer.
So when does this piece air?
My story airs tomorrow night at 10,
Okay.
Wednesday at 10 on Action News
Okay.
5.
So my poor kid is on TV, embarrassed to death.
And let me say this: Alex was very good on television. He
He's
was
a good-
he
he's
was
a good
nervous,
kid.
but he comes across, with some righteous.
Did he cuss a lot?
No.
Okay.
The 2 words to describe Alex is righteous indignation.
That's my boy.
Yeah, that's him.
He's a rebel.
Uh-huh.
Bless his heart. Well, thank you so much for your help, not just with him, but to use him as an example of what's happening to people every day.
What's ironic that Alex ends up being the perfect
I know.
poster child for
I
this
know.
issue is because people when you first talk about it, you're like, oh, this is auto body and insurance, 2 industries that people don't like that much.
Right.
Why should I care? Alex Hall's example is why you should care
Yeah, well,
because
thank you very
consumers
much.
consumers get stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
Alex is the perfect example where he did nothing wrong. The accident wasn't even his fault; it was the other driver's
Right.
fault, and neither his own insurance company nor the other driver's insurance company
Right.
is advocating for him at all in this matter.
None. He was left out to dry. They just didn't care, and I would never have known this had I not called Bill just to see if everything was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, think
And-
what it's doing to people like Bill and his industry.
Oh, I know. Yeah. So Bill's getting the short end of the stick too,
Right.
as is the consumer, and the insurance companies are the big winners, and they're cashing checks and laughing all the way to the bank.
Right.
Good times. So what do you have coming up this fall, my friend?
Well, right now, my major focus, my major priority right now is school bus drivers. We've had 8 Durham School Services bus accidents since August 19th. It's
8?
not
Yeah.
even October yet. I started an investigation last Wednesday, and my first set of reports, and I have a new one tonight at 6, where we're delving into the backgrounds of these bus drivers. And I'm already in a fight with the school district and with Durham about my right to access the names, at home addresses, lengths of service, and
Background
the bus
checks.
routes. Yeah. Tonight, the bus driver who's in the September 5th accident, it was a Treadwell Elementary bus route, Tommy Anderson. We've already reported that he was driving without a license. Tonight I'll be advancing the story that he's done it before. He also has a rap sheet with burglary, DUI, and other assorted.
And he got a job as a school
and he
bus
got a
driver?
job as a school bus driver.
With no driver's license.
From a company that claims they run FBI background checks and alcohol and drug tests and such as like they dropped the ball on this guy. And if it's him, how many more other drivers have the same conditions?
Has everything gone insane?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank God Andy Wise is on the case. My gosh. Well, have fun with that one.
Yep. I'll be hitting the
And,
ground running after I leave the studio.
Oh my
so.
gosh! Well, thank you for your help with this issue with my child, and I thank you for that, and others thank you as well because this is long overdue to be exposed. That's tomorrow night, and tonight you can learn how to make pasta out of zucchini.
And then, of course,
Similar issues.
And my school bus driver investigation at 6.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Andy Wise from Channel 5. We'll be right back.